Hey guys, welcome back to the Musings of Madison vlog. I took a little filming break over the holidays, but now I'm back, hopefully a little more regularly. So this is the first vlog of 2021, and I don't need to tell you guys that last year was hard. I know we all struggled with a lot of different losses and traumas, and I don't want to rehash that, except to say that 2020 brought out a lot of mental health struggles for a lot of people. For those of us who suffered with anxiety and depression, it may have been a lot harder to keep in check at some points, and a lot of people experienced prolonged bouts of anxiety and depression for maybe the first time. And while I don't wish those things on anyone, I hope that being able to talk about mental health is going to reduce some of the stigma that has been around mental health for a long time. Speaking of stigma, today I want to address what I think is a major source of stigma around mental health within the church. The Bible commands us to have joy. Philippians 4:4 says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice." And I've heard this used before to say, well, if you're depressed, you're not rejoicing, so you're being disobedient. How can you have depression and still be faithfully following God? Something must be wrong there. And they've weaponized that command and kind of beat people with depression over the head with it to say something's wrong with you. You're not the Christian you need to be. And that's really unfortunate, and it's pushed a lot of people away. But I've also heard some really good sermons on having joy in the Lord and Philippians 4:4 that address and validate mental health struggles. And when we look at the word joy in the Bible and how joy is used, it becomes pretty clear that depression does not equal disobedience. So first things first, I want to be clear and talk about what depression can actually look like. It's not always just sadness or feeling down, because everybody goes through that, right? Everyone is sad sometimes. And I know that that sometimes gets said to people who are struggling with depression to kind of invalidate them. Well, you need to suck it up. Everybody's sad sometimes. You just need to move on and get over it. And it does sometimes come with intense sadness, but sometimes it looks more like emptiness or intense hopelessness. And it's prolonged, and it doesn't just go away. I mean, believe me, if we could just make it go away, we would love to. That would be fantastic. And sometimes it makes everyday basic tasks a little more difficult, like personal hygiene or, cleaning, or, school and work tasks. And I think that's a source of stigma as well, because, it's inconvenient for a lot of people. But I mean, imagine being the one living with it and the one struggling. So all of that said, how, when you're walking through that, can you still have joy in the Lord? The Bible in the original language has lots of different words for joy. So there's not just one word for us to focus on. And there's nothing particularly unexpected about the meaning of those words, as was the case for our word study on peace, which I'll try to link below if you'd like to go back and watch that if you haven't seen it. Those words mean pretty much what you would expect them to mean, being cheerful or being happy. But what sets Christian joy apart, as it's described in the Word, is its context. The Bible talks a lot about joy in the Lord in the midst of sorrow. 2 Corinthians 6:10, for example, the Apostle Paul describes himself as grieving yet always rejoicing, among other things. Now, bear in mind, when Paul was writing this statement in this letter, he was in a Roman prison for his faith. He was being beaten brutally and daily. He was watching his friends die horrible, horrible deaths for professing Christ. Depression would have made sense in his context. And he writes a lot about the sorrow and anguish he felt over these circumstances. He talks a lot about just wanting to be done, wanting to go home and, be with the Lord and have all of the pain be over. But he also talks about joy. Why? Joy is not just a feeling in the biblical context. Biblical joy is tied to faith. It is a conscious choice to believe that because of Christ, our sorrow, our depression, whatever horribly difficult thing that we're walking through is not going to have the final word. One day our suffering will be over and we'll be with Christ and he will set all things right. So what does that mean for you? It means you don't need to beat yourself up for whatever you do or don't feel. Suppressing your emotions is extremely unhealthy, and you don't need to do that. In fact, there are several places in Scripture where we have it documented, all of the things that Jesus felt, and they weren't always pleasant. He didn't try to pretend he was happy or suppress his emotions to pacify the people around him. It means that if you need to have a good cry or stare blankly at the wall for a little while, you can do that. You can feel and still have joy in the Lord. But it also means that when your thoughts and feelings of depression come on and they're attacking you and they're too much, you have something to say back. You can say, you are oppressing me right now, but you don't have the final word. God does. He has secured my soul and my eternal future. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that God has used something I said to maybe bring you some encouragement or a sense of freedom. Keep leaning on Christ, take care of each other, and take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.